Everybody, welcome to this special edition version of Wings on Katella. It is version 2.0 of the special edition versions of the WOK. We're going to talk some draft stuff, draft preview. If you missed our episode with Reese White talking about the Big West, we just had that last week. Today we're going to talk UCLA, USC baseball, kind of preview their draft season as opposed to their season. The guys that are going to be of interest of the draft. For that, we have some of our regular dudes, guys, panel cast, etc. We got Thomas Murray, covers UCLA, and that includes baseball at this point now. So you cover UCLA basketball, football, anything else that I'm missing here?
No, not basketball, just football and doing
Just football.
baseball. But
Gotcha.
I
And then
mean,
we're gonna
if
have
you
you
need me
jump
to
in on
fill in,
some
sure.
baseball stuff. Also covers the Angels for the Sporting Tribune, and we have Jack Janes who covers the Angels and Ducks for the Sporting Tribune, as well as utility roles across the board. Kings, whatever. USC baseball, that's to some degree, at some extent. Fullerton baseball to some extent. So yeah, we're gonna talk USC, UCLA baseball. We are on any network that you find podcasts and things along the sorts, and obviously here on the Sporting Tribune podcast network on YouTube as well. For this, we're going to talk UCLA. I think big picture. Let's just start with the obvious one. They have the shortstop Roch Cholowksy, who is maybe the top shortstop draft prospect since some are saying since Alex Rodriguez, and I think he got drafted in '93. So we're talking 30 something years at this point. Um, I think enough has been said about him, but we're going to keep talking about him. Jack, what are your thoughts here on Roch Cholowsky? Obviously, expected to go first overall. I think there's a strong chance, even though we have a lot of baseball left, that he still will probably be the first overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch his highlights from last year and even some videos from over the summer, you can see why he hits so well at the college level because his swing is just so simple. He has a quiet load, a simple swing, and it's paired with a great approach of the plate. It's resulted in an explosive sophomore season last year. He hit 23 homers while cutting down his strikeout rate down to 9.3%, which is pretty significant. 9.3% is quite insane for a strikeout rate. But his power is to the pull side. That's where the majority of his homers go. But he has a great ability to stay inside the baseball. It allows him to drive balls the opposite gap. That's where he gets his doubles and all of his extra bases. Um, and then defensively, he's, defensively sound and very athletic. He's not super quick. He's not, a speedster by any means, but he gets the balls because he's efficient with his routes. He's got good footwork. He's kind of a prospect that doesn't really have any holes to poke in his game other than his speed. But if that's the one thing you're lacking, and it's not like he's slow by any stretch of the imagination, it's just, it's not high end talent like the rest of his tool set.
I was gonna say, I mean, when people say he's a 60 across the board, plus hitter, plus power, plus defender, plus arm, um, he's like a fringe average, maybe average runner. That's like you said, if that's one dog on him, right? Then what is it? Thomas, you got to see Rock not that long ago. Your thoughts on Rock Cholowsky?
Yeah, no. Jack pretty much hit it all on the money right there with that. The one thing I really noticed is when, and I wasn't somebody that grew up playing baseball, but always just watched it. One thing I really noticed though when I watched Rock was just the sound of the ball coming off his bat. It was just always so different. And like, I mean, you would just see like kind of the speed coming off of that, the ball off the bat versus like some of his teammates. And that's when I really noticed I'm like, okay, this guy's a little bit different than the rest of his teammates. And like Jack was saying too, like not really the most fastest guy on the field or anything, but yeah, no, his defense, great routes, just really got tacked the ball, found ways to get it, and just made a lot of routine plays when I saw him. And it was like an exhibition game against UCI, but still, I thought he was pretty impressive that day. And for a game where there wasn't a lot of hitting, he was like one of the few guys that was hitting that day. I think he went 2 for 4 that afternoon. I had it in my notebook. I was trying to look for it, but I think I threw that away recently because I filled it up and I was like, and it's like all mixed up with high school football stuff. But yeah, no, yeah, just really good player though overall, and yeah, he was really exciting to watch for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
going back to a few points, like this is a guy, you look at the overall tools, you're looking at the package that he brings, right? Is he's a 60 hitter, 60 power. He's got all the tools in the work. He also performed remarkably well. 165 weighted runs created plus. Jack, you mentioned the sub 10 strikeout percentage, which you like to see from guys like that, but at the same time, this is a guy that has a sub 10 strikeout percentage with an ISO over 350. That's when you have an ISO over 300, it's remarkable. When you're over 350 with a sub 10 strikeout percentage, that's off the charts performance. Some people were saying he might have gotten snubbed from the Golden Spikes Award last year, which, respect to Bahio Aloy and Kyle Lodis or Alex Lodis. Either way. You've got the performance, you've got the track record, you've got because this is a guy that probably turned down probably multiple millions in the draft out of high school. I'm trying to remember. I always want to say he went to Sandro O'Day. He never did. I don't know why I always forget where he went to high school. It's somewhere in Arizona from what I remember, but just remarkably talented. And like we said, maybe
went
where
to
you got?
Hamilton.
Hamilton? Is that
Oh yeah, Hamilton. I knew that.
That's right. That's Sandro O'Day. Same thing. Nope. No, just this is a kid that's been around the block and has been well known, has had the tools and put it all together. I'm trying to think because I think a lot of things about this draft with Roch is there's going to be a lot of comparisons made about like who he reminds people of. It's already been mentioned. Like people have said, oh, this is guys that were around the block in 93, which I am not one of them. They're like, this is what Alex Rodriguez looked like as an amateur. But Alex Rodriguez was obviously out of high school at the time. But it's like, okay, that's fair. You can't project Roch Cholowksy to be 100 WAR, 700 home run. Like steroids are not whatever it is. Like Alex Rodriguez is one of the best players of the last 50 years, maybe one of the best players of all time. Whatever it is, you can't project a kid that hasn't set foot on a professional baseball field as anything close to that. But what are you guys thinking? I mean, like maybe he could be someone like a Barry Larkin or something like that, because that's another guy that would probably come up when you're talking about comparisons. I think we've mentioned one in particular, Jack Thomas. Who are you thinking this guy kind of reminds you of?
I mean, just looking at the highlights, especially defensively with some of the throw. If you just look at his like College World Series highlight package where he's making defensive plays, it kind of reminds you of Troy Tulowitzki, the way he's running around the field and making defensive plays. And the bat kind of is similar too. I would say Tulowitzki has more of a violent kind of more like a swing that has more going on, I would say, than Cholowsky. Cholowsky is a very quiet swing, so maybe the hitting isn't that comparable, but the power that he has when he hits is comparable. The defensive, how it just looks visually, is comparable. So I would say maybe a Troy Tulowitzki type if he hits the ceiling.
That's reasonable. Yeah, absolutely. Thomas, anything?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was gonna go with the Tulo also.
You're a Long Beach guy, so it's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, of course, right. No, but we were talking before this, and you mentioned Carlos Correa to me, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, he kind of does look a lot like Correa out there, and I just never really thought of it, just overall like really solid, good bat. I don't know if there's like a lot of power, like that, where like a Tulo from when I saw him, and so seeing him like something like a Carlos Correa, I'm like, that kind of makes sense right there, and just from seeing him in person. So yeah, I would go with that.
That's fair. I mean, you're talking about guys that are borderline Hall of Fame. I don't know if they're going to get the votes or anything, but like when you're already comparing an amateur player to someone that is a 30, 40, 50 WAR player in their careers as big leaguers, that's substantial. I think he's got, I mean, the Correa thing I absolutely agree with. I think he's got the plate discipline. I think he's got the similar power, similar hit. The only thing I would say is I think Carlos Correa is one of the few guys that has like a 75 arm. Can't call it 80, but it's legit. But at the same time, Roch has like a 60. He has a plus arm. It's short. Roch's real flashy defensively, I think, as well. Like he's got that flash. He's got that ability to stick there and do things. I think there's gonna be some lazy ones. Like Bobby Witt is gonna be probably. I mean, you're gonna hear it from like MLB Network and people like that. Is Bobby Witt Jr. and Cal Ripken Jr. and things like that. And it's find a white shortstop that's borderline Hall of Fame kind of thing, and that's probably what you're going to go with. Like, not Troy. Sorry, Jack. I know Troy Tulowitzki and everything, but like I've seen that as well. I was thinking Troy Tulowitzki as well, but it's you're going to hear that. For me, it's a Carlos Correa, it's a Troy Tulowitzki. Like, not to stay on the same train, but like Trevor Story is probably going to be a comp you're going to hear. This is just one of those guys that's going to be immediate impact. I don't want to say franchise altering player, but potentially a franchise altering player at the top of the draft. And for him to not go first overall, there's only one thing, and I didn't talk to you guys about this, but like maybe Justin LeBron has more upside out of Alabama. Maybe one of the high schoolers has a little more upside. Maybe there's prospect fatigue, but if you're drafting first overall, prospect fatigue can't be a thing. So I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of White Sox hanging out down in Brentwood, and that's going to be a big deal. So I don't want to make it just about Roch. UCLA is loaded with talent. I think their lineup could all go pro at this point. Thomas, you mentioned a guy before we jumped on here that kind of stood out to you. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. I'm trying to pull up my notes and remember who we were even talking about at this point. Who did you bring up? You brought Mulivai Levu. What did you think of Mulivai?
Yeah, no, I mean, other than Rock, I thought Mulivai was probably one of the other best hitters on the field that day when I saw them. Really good power out of him, and just overall really solid hitter. We were talking about earlier this week, Taylor, you were telling me, you could be a guy that can go in the second, third round. And mostly just because you're saying that like he's mostly limited to first base. Um, but no, I mean, I think I thought he was a pretty solid player on that team. I saw him get some like pretty clutch at bats too in and it was an exhibition game, but it was a game that really had no scoring or anything going on until like seventh inning or so. But it got a lot later, and I think they played 14, 13 innings total that day. But yeah, no, I thought he was a pretty good hitter over there at UCLA, and someone I'm really excited to watch this season.
Yeah, it's one of the top first basemen in the nation. First base in the draft itself is not necessarily something you jump on. I know that a lot of people listening are Angels listeners, and obviously the Angels took a first baseman not that long ago. It's worked out to a degree, but with Levu, he's a little aggressive. He's a little It's not the swing and miss, not the chase. He probably has to cut down a little bit, but not significantly. But when you are limited to first base, your draft stock's going to take a hit no matter what it is. This is a guy that's probably an average hit tool, but like you said, it's probably above average, maybe plus power and production at first base. Left-handed hitter, that's going to be helpful. I'm curious, and we can talk about it more, I wonder if he is a right-handed thrower, so I am curious if another program would have given him a chance to play third base. And the reason I say that is because you have Roch Cholowksy at shortstop, and you also have another shortstop that is playing third base for you in Roman Martin. So it's like you're locked in at first, or you're locked in at shortstop and third on the left side of your dirt. So you kind of don't have the opportunity for him to play third. Curious if he might be able to get a rep there. He's not the greatest athlete, but he's a little more athletic than your standard first baseman. So curious on that, but performed really well last year. Jack, anything that you saw with Levu that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I mean he's pretty stocky, 6'1", 215, so he's going to be limited to the corners there. I don't think they can, like some college prospects, just kind of put him out in the outfield and hope for the best. I don't think he's going to be one of those types, but I mean, yeah, the power's there. He had 12 home runs last year, a 202 ISO, 522 slugging percentage. And like you said, it's not necessarily the swing and miss that he's aggressive because he only strikes out 15% of the time, which I know college numbers, the average is a little different than MLB average, but he's still not striking out a ton. He even cut down his strikeout rate almost in half from his freshman year to sophomore year. So it'll be interesting to see where just kind of how he performs this upcoming season if he continues to improve.
Yeah, I mean, he is undeniably one of the top hitters in this class. So there's no like if he goes off and hits the way that If he proves that his hit tool improves or anything like that, yeah, there is a chance he's a back of the first round guy. But I think realistically, you're looking at rounds 2 or 3 just because of positional indifference. If you have a guy that, Roch Cholowksy is a better hitter, right? But maybe Roman Martin, who we'll talk about, isn't a better hitter. Roman Martin also still has the capability of playing a more premier defensive position. So Roman Martin is going to probably have a better draft stock on a model than someone like Levu. So, and I'm going to work really hard. Mulivai Levu is his name. It's a very interesting name. The thing that's going to be interesting about Mulivai too is that I'm curious to see what the UCLA lineup's going to be between Martin, Cholowsky, Levu, and Gasparino. And we could touch on that a little bit more later, but I think Levu is probably going to hit behind Cholowsky, which is going to be remarkably big for him on the performance standpoint and the production standpoint. And Thomas, as you said, this is a guy that, whether you believe that clutch hitting is a real thing or not, it will go in the report. Somewhere in the report, you will have, in the draft reports, you're going to have, is this guy a clutch hitter or not? And sure enough, he is. So far, he's proven he can be. Probably going to be one of the bigger staples. Yeah. We already mentioned it a little bit. Roman Martin, another guy. He was a top prospect out of not Jay Serra. Jack, where did he go? Servite. Thank you. Thomas knows. See, look at Thomas.
It's only because I got him up on the iPad.
That's fair. Yeah, Roman, I would be curious to see if he gets days at shortstop at all. I think Rock's going to play the whole season. I don't think they're going to give him days off. But if there's a day off, I think Roman's a guy that could go play shortstop. Do you guys grab any notes on Roman and Martin at all?
I mean, I have what we were talking, what you sent me. You're telling me he's possibly second round pick this year. Just depends if he'll ever really get to play shortstop, like you were just saying. But Roman was another guy that stood out when I saw them. I think it was those three, and then the right fielder in that game. I forgot
Probably
his name.
Gasparino.
Yeah, probably. I think it was him. But yeah, Roman, pretty solid hitter overall. Had 15 doubles last season with 9 home runs. Slugging percentage of .502. So yeah, I don't know what's necessarily a great slugging percentage for college baseball. I think
no, it's fair
about that.
The thing about Roman, he's been an impact player since he set foot on campus at UCLA. He's going to be a 3-year starter for them, or might not be a 3-year starter, but 3-year player. He got significant playing time as a freshman. The reason he hasn't had time at shortstop is because of Rock and whoever was there when he was a freshman. I want to say it wasn't McLean, but they've had good defenders on the left side of the infield there for the last 3 years, and this adds to it. So, it's patience, it's patience and power, and that's going to work, especially at a third base profile. Biggest thing with him is I think just cutting down on swing and miss on sliders. Sliders, breaky stuff. He's a great fastball hitter, and that's going to be a thing that you need to be to succeed in pro ball, because fastballs are becoming, pro ball is becoming a flat line. Everything's going to be coming at you direct and then snap off kind of thing. So you've got to be able to hit the fastball in the first place. I think Roman's going to be a guy that's going to profile kind of like a second round, maybe third round, depending on what he does performance-wise. But obviously, if he gets a chance to play short at any point, too, that's going to be a big boost for him. But it's another guy, long track record, Big Ten performer. Big Ten obviously is not SEC, ACC, but it's still one of the better conferences. So I think this is a guy that's going to kind of have that jump of, he's going to have a lot of eyes on him. Everyone is because of Cholowsky. But when you are playing literally feet away from him, what his defensive acumen is going to be is probably going to be what's going to carry a little bit, obviously, as long as he does what he's supposed to do offensively. So, Jack, anything on Roman Martin?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much hit it all. I mean, just another guy that had tremendous growth from freshman to sophomore year. And his freshman year was really good too. 843 OPS, 104 weighted runs created plus, jumps up to a 952 OPS and a 128 weighted runs created plus his sophomore year. So a jump of 110 points in OPS. like you said, incredible patience, 13% walk rate, cut down his K rate in half from freshman to sophomore year. So, um, as he continues to grow and fill out and physically mature, it's going to be fun to see what numbers he can put up in his junior year.
I think I want to see him play shortstop because I think he's capable, at least in the lower levels of pro ball, to play shortstop, and that's what I keep going back to that. But this is a guy that does profile as a third baseman. It's a good arm. It's going to play on the left side of the dirt, and that's what if you're capable of playing because a lot of questions always come up. Hey, why do teams always draft shortstops? Why do they always draft center fielders? It's like because if you aren't playing shortstop or center field in college ball, you're not going to play there in pro ball. You're going to be moving like there's a lot of shortstops that play college as a shortstop that end up not having the defensive acumen to do anything but play first base. It's simple as that. It's just a very challenging thing. So that's what with this guy. There's a caveat is that when you have someone that's just that much better of a shortstop playing next to you, that's why you're not going to be drafted as a shortstop necessarily. So that's what there is there. Speaking of center field profile, Will Gasparino, son of Dodgers amateur scouting director Billy, obviously. Will is the transfer from Texas, brings a lot of power to this lineup. Obviously, it's going to be a right-handed dominant lineup at the top between Martin, Cholowsky, and Gasparino here. But Thomas, I think Gasparino is the guy that you were talking about, the Texas transfer. What'd you see out of Will?
Sorry about that. Yeah,
You're good.
Will was one of those guys that day that was just having himself quite a day. Was getting on base a lot that afternoon. Was also just making a lot of defensive highlight reels out in right field that day. I mean, I think I saw him uh rob one out and right, and then he made a couple diving plays out there to save some, just singles or doubles out there. And I was really impressed by the defense that day. When I saw him, I was like, oh wow. And again, I think he came up big in the ninth inning of that game. Drove in 2 runs or so, and was kind of like a difference maker for UCLA.
Yeah, I think the athleticism is the thing that goes ignored here because a lot of people are going to talk about the bat. A lot of people are going to talk about the power of the bat and everything. But I agree. I think there's athleticism there. He's got a plus, maybe a plus arm, which is why you'd probably play him in center field. The other thing I would say is you do have Peyton Brennan played a lot of center for UCLA last year, so I'm curious to see if Brennan sticks in center and they use Gasparino and right as the filler for Salgado and also the other things there. But I think this is a guy that you could try in center field. I think it's a guy you at least try in center field. Jack, anything on Gasparino? There's a lot of things I do like. There's a lot of things I question, and that's why I would say he's more of a round 3-4 guy as opposed to a 2-3 guy. That's the one thing I would say about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's kind of like a projection pick more than a surefire pick because he's a big kid, 6'6", 220, playing the outfield. But he obviously has some holes in his offensive game. I know batting average doesn't mean everything, but he hit 242, and in college you'd like to see a little bit more hit tool, I guess I should say. But the power is surefire. I mean, he hit 12 or 13. He had 13 home runs this past year, a 512 slugging percentage. But he has a tendency to strike out. He still draws walks, so he does. But how much is that, pitchers trying to pitch around him and not, leave one down the middle for him? But it'll be interesting to see how he does. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like a 25, 26% K rate last year, something like that at Texas. And obviously that can work in college ball, but he's gonna have to cut that down significantly because once he gets into pro ball, that's gonna jump significantly. He's not gonna be facing Tuesday night guys that are throwing 89. And respectfully, Jack, I know you faced guys that were throwing 85, and I did too, and struggled with the guys that were throwing 75. So it's okay, but it's a guy that just he needs to cut down the swing and miss. If you watch him, for as much athleticism as there is, I want to see what UCLA does to his setup at the plate because he almost had a no load swing. If you go watch him, it's a no-load swing. He's almost torqued up completely the whole time, and I want to see them free up some athleticism with him. I think that's the biggest thing is he is a really good athlete. If you free up the athleticism and he sticks to the power and the contact, because I think the torquing up was just so we could see the ball a little better. But I'm very curious to see what they do with him. Now the thing with Will and Roman and all these guys, Roman's got the patience. Roch is the best hitter on the team. Levu is the second best hitter on the team, and Gasparino has the power. You're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4 somewhere in that order with those guys. I just want to see what they do there. I think there's a chance Roch Cholowksy leads off for this team, and I don't know how I feel about that when it comes to run production for the best team in the nation. This is the number one team in the nation, obviously, and we'll talk about the pitching. We'll talk about other guys, but I would like to see them go Martin, Cholowsky, Levu, Gasparino. And that's the way I think that's going to be the best run production style before we get into the seniors and underclassmen here. But that's the way I would probably draw it up. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think when I saw them, Cholowsky was hitting 2, and then Levu was at 3. I can't remember where Martin and Gasparino were in that mix. Honestly, I think Gasparino might have been a little bit lower, but I don't remember 100%.
That's fine. I mean, it's the power production is what I'd be looking at because
Yeah.
like we said, he's back to back. I can't remember if he hit 13 home runs last year or the year before, but this is a guy that's hit 25 home runs over the last 2 years, which is notable.
Gasparino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
don't have his
Willie
stats on there,
he
yeah.
hit 13 last year, so 12 as a freshman. Yeah, this is the guy that's got to be able to punish the ball. Jack, anything lineup wise that you're thinking here?
Um, Considering I haven't seen them in person yet, I don't want to. I like to see them actually go through a full at bat to kind of see where they would fit in a lineup. But so I'll take your word on your your power production.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Some other really good players here. I actually think Cashel Duggar is going to be the next guy in line when it comes to draft stock. I'm thinking second day catcher kind of guy. Hit really well last year. It was like a league average. He put a 99 weighted runs created plus up. Struck out at 12.1%, walked at 13.4. So it's a little walk driven, low ISO, but this is a catcher. They're going to split some catching duties between Cashel and Blake Balls. I think it is Balls. Both of these guys are going to be pro interest. And this is the stage. If you listen to the Big West show, the version that we did with the Big West, we were talking about guys that might have a shot at going pro kind of thing, as like guys that we were struggling on that one to find some guys, right? This is one where UCLA definitely has guys that are going to go pro here. I think the catcher duo of Duggar and Balls is going to figure a way in there. I'm trying to think, is there anyone that you guys have on the notebook on the list that kind of stood out at all to you? Dean West was a big time performer. I don't know if either of you guys have anything on Dean West that you liked.
Yeah, actually, Dean West was the guy I was thinking of. I mean, I don't know, necessarily if Dean will go pro next year, and just kind of depends on his.
He fits that day 3 profile really
Yeah,
well.
yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I get from him. But he was somebody that was just really really fast that day, and oh my gosh, like just seeing him run on the bases, seeing him fly from second to home easily, first to third. Um, he's somebody that you want on base and big, when you have someone like Roch up at the plate, right? And will bring in runs for you.
Yeah, I think the outfield with Dean. The one thing with
Yeah,
Dean,
I think he was playing left field when I
he
saw
would
him.
be. Dean's not. He's not a great defender. He's not a great defender, and that's why they have him in left. They had Brennan in center a lot last year, and I think Brennan's going to be in center this year as well. Curious if Brennan would move to right with Gasparino and see if they flip flop some of that. But
Sure.
Salgado was also a guy that they had. Salgado was like a 5th-year senior at that point last year. Came from Washington. I like Salgado a lot. He went pro. But the thing about Dean West, you look at his numbers last year: 125 winning runs created plus. He hit 320, 470 on base. I mean, you get on base 47% of the time, and he did steal quite a few bases. He's got some speed. So you've got speed, you've got hit ability, you've got performance. I think it's a day 3 guy. Brennan kind of fits that role as well a little bit. Just a guy that is playing center field at the number one program in the nation and is going to be in the lineup. Jack, any offensive guys that kind of caught your attention at all that you're thinking of?
I think you guys hit all of them.
Okay, fair enough. Another guy just to add to the list here is Phoenix Call. He's been around the block. He's started a lot for them. He's going to be playing the dirt with these guys, second base, unless someone maybe like Dominic Cadiz, the incoming freshman, that kind of maybe pushes him off. I don't see. I think that's going to be a midweek decision more than anything, because they're going to be able to win those games on their pitching, but. For the number one team in the nation, I don't think they're going to be starting a lot of freshmen, and that's going to include some of the pitching. So on the pitching side, they've got a big 1-2 punch. They've got a lot. I mean, their pitching staff is loaded up, but it's always going to start with Logan Reddemann. Thomas, who was throwing at the scrimmage? Who was the guy throwing at the scrimmage?
Oh my gosh. It was a different pitcher every inning.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I saw a lot of arms that day.
that's fair. So, Jack, anything on Logan Reddemann that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I mean, good strike thrower. He's got a 4 pitch mix. Chance to be a first rounder if he can show off. He has better off speed pitches, but right now he's looking like to be a preseason favorite to be best pitcher in Big Ten. Fangraphs is stalling, so I can't read off stats, but
Nothing wrong with that, man. I'm gonna pull it up too. I'm gonna see what we got. What do you need? What do you need on Reddit?
there we go. I was just gonna look and see what he did last year and rattle it off. Yeah, University of San Diego transfer had a big year for them last year. Why is Fangraphs not working? It like came up and dropped off. I know he had a low 2 ERA with USD last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't it like mid-20s K percentage? I'm just trying to remember off the
I
top of my
want to
head.
say, I want to say you're all right on that. I mean, it's a real athletic. You're looking tools wise, right? Just standing on the tools alone. It's an athletic guy. The fastball is really good shape. It's more low 90s, probably 90, 92, 93 more than anything. But it's going to be a really interesting. How much consistency the fastball is going to be the thing that really pushes him to the next level, along with the development of. He needs a better out pitch. Right now, he is one of those guys that he's a strike throwing guy with 4 pitches. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's going to get you, it's going to do you justice and things. But you've got to have a true out pitch to make that jump. So if you see something like it, UCLA has never been good at developing changeups, like a Griffin Canning for that sake, and other guys for that sake. It's no separation between the changeup and the fastball. It's a really bad sinker is essentially what it is. So you're going to look at this as something where you're looking for a better slider, you're looking for a better curveball, something along those lines. But this is a guy with his strike throwing, with his performance, with the fastball projection. I would say fastball projection above everything else. This is a guy that probably could go second, third, fourth round. It's going to be one of the better pitchers. It's going to be the Friday night guy for them. And Thomas, you're going to go see him on Friday night, right? It's you're going to see him and Steele Murdoch, UCSD guy, similar-ish profile. Maybe Murdoch's got a little more fire under his belly, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Friday night. Anything that you have on Logan?
No, I think you guys pretty much hit everything.
Okay.
Baseball Reference loaded his stats. So I got it was a 2.29 ERA last year, 11 games, 9 starts, 53 strikeouts in 55 innings. So there's probably still a little more strikeout in his game that I'm sure scouts would want. But we'll see.
Yeah, you want the swing and miss. You always want the swing and miss, but it's a projection arm that is going to be the top starter for the top team in the nation. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. Saturday guys should be Landon Stump. I'm assuming Logan is Friday. Actually, now that I think of it, there's options here. Remember I was telling you they might move a senior into that role, but Landon Stump got quite a few starts last year. Guy that fits the round 6 to 10 range. That later day two kind of arm. Pretty good fastball, good slider. Jack, I don't know if you have anything, Logan Stump, Thomas, anything running through the notebook. I don't know if you guys have anything on any of the arms here, but this is it's a good class for the UCLA arms, but a lot of the UCLA arms are going to be depth pieces in pro ball, or they are next year or the year after. That's why I think Landon Stump is a guy that I'm going to throw a little focus on. Like I said, it's a good slider. He's 90-94. Again, UCLA has struggled with developing changeup, so his changeup isn't really there yet. Strike throwing wise, he got to improve though.
Yeah, for sure. Strike throwing's got to improve. I think there's another guy where you're kind of drafting off of projection instead of results. He doesn't really have the results to go along with his college career so far. Um, Only an 18% strikeout rate, 11.3 walk rate last year. That's just not really going to cut it. But when you're projectable and you're showing flashes of what you can be, that's going to go a long way, especially as a pitcher.
Yeah. Just running through the notebook here. Like we can hit on the underclassmen real quick. Like Zach Strickland was a guy high end freshman that I saw last year at Maranatha. Maranatha. Good arm, very similar. It's a 3-pitch arsenal. He throws strikes, low 90s, but it's fun. Like a guy like Angel Cervantes. Obviously, I think all of us are familiar with Angel at this point. Thomas, you did a highlight article on Angel last year. Angel, it's like not related, but Fredo Cervantes, who covers the Dodgers for the Sporting Tribune, asked me, he's like, "Hey, maybe do you think he goes out and plays first base?" And I'm like, "No, no, I don't." But like that kind of athleticism, he's got good athleticism. He's got strike throwing ability. He's got out pitches. I mean, this is a guy that I think we were talking about it kind of behind closed doors, kind of not, as there was a handshake agreement with the Angels and like the end of the second, third round pick with Angel Cervantes, and this was a $2.5 to $3 million arm. That it obviously he got picked by the Pirates, and Justin Horwitz kind of jumped the Angels on this, but it's like this is a guy that would have gone pro that would have gotten $2.5 to $3 million. And instead he's pitching at UCLA for the next 3 years. Well, we'll see transfer portal stuff, but this is a big time arm. Like you've got Wyland Moss, who's probably going to start some games. Wyland Moss is a big prospect next year. Looking here, like who else do we have? Like Wyland Moss is probably like he might be a first round pick next year. Another guy, but that's the thing. UCLA definitely has a type of arm, and definitely has a type of arm. Like Easton Hawk is going to be the closer for UCLA this year, or at least projected. He was a closer as a freshman. He's probably going to be a closer as a sophomore as well, just because of rotation stuff. But like you get into the guys after that, right? Like the Ian Mays and the Jack O'Connors. Like Jack O'Connor's gonna be the setup man for Elon Musk. Like another guy. It's not the Jack O'Connor from Virginia that went like second round, third round 2 years ago to whoever. O'Connor would have been either way. I'm going off. Good Irish name, And like you also have Ian May. Like these are guys that are big time performers that have it's that's the thing about UCLA that you're going to see. It's a good breaking ball. Fastball gets up to like 97, 98. It's one of those power fastballs. So they have that skill level. It's just more, those are the guys that are going to go back end of the draft, even if they are drafted. They're senior signs, NDFAs. The one guy, and Jack, I'm curious if you remember him at Notre Dame High School. This is Justin Lee. He was a pretty big time prospect out of Notre Dame high school. Like I want to say the Braves were offering him like $700,000-$800,000 in the draft, and he turned it down to go to UCLA, and he just hasn't performed. I don't know if you can pull up the performance numbers, but Justin Lee he's got 3 pitches. He's one of the guys that one of the rare UCLA arms that does have a good changeup. It's like 90 to 95. Just a guy that kind of has to put it all together. I just don't know where he fits with this UCLA like pitching staff. I would love to see him be at the back of the Sunday guy, maybe the Tuesday guy. And it's like usually when you get into the Sunday guy on the rotation, the Tuesday guy on the rotation, those guys aren't getting drafted. But this is a guy that I think there's enough scouting pro interest in him that he's going to go on that third day somewhere. And I think he's going to be one of those like guys that jumps in pro ball. And it's just a difference between college development, pro development. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Jack, I don't know if you have the numbers on Justin Lee, but he hasn't put it together just yet.
Yeah, and strike throwing is a huge problem for him. 17.6% K rate, 17% flat walk rate last year, so not good at all. He had 30 appearances, 32 innings pitched, 0 starts, and had a 6.75 ERA there. Yeah, I mean, as soon as he gets that the strike throwing in check, he'll be doing a lot better because his opponent's batting average is 231, which isn't terrible.
For college, it's pretty decent.
Yeah, so he just got to get it in the zone more, at least closer to the zone. Because it just looking at his numbers without looking at him in person, it just seems like hitters are taking that miss middle approach where if it's not in my one area, it's not going to be a strike. So they're probably going to be more patient at the plate against him.
Yeah, but I'd like to see him. I think this is one that is gonna his draft stock is gonna be very scout centric, I think. And the numbers are not gonna reflect and the performance and everything is not gonna reflect, but I think he's gonna be a guy that gets into pro ball and does something a little louder. So Thomas, anything more that you're thinking on this UCLA squad before we move on to USC?
Definitely. I mean, I remember seeing Justin pitch, and excuse me, and I remember watching him pitch, and like, yeah, he was having a really hard time finding the strike zone that day. And I mean, I think he threw 30, it's somewhere between like 30 to 40 pitches in a inning because he's came out bullpen work, whatever. And yeah, it was just struggling that day.
I like the athleticism. I like the explosiveness. I think that there's more there. I think there's really more there for him. So, all right, guys, UCLA Bruin time, beanie time. It is. Is it raining at your house? Like it's raining at mine?
Yeah,
I think
it's raining.
It just cleared up. Might have cleared up at mine.
We've got snow coming in, which means it is 100% Division I opening weekend because we get snow every friggin' time Division I opens. every February 13th or 18th. I promise you, we are getting snow. So on that, we're gonna move on to USC. We're wearing beanies, and the reason I'm wearing a beanie is because the only hat I have available is a Gophers hat, Minnesota Gophers, and that is a Big Ten opponent. So I can't do that, not during a Big Ten preview. So, big arm. USC has a big arm. I think when Jake McCoy of South Carolina went down with Tommy John, the LHP1, left-handed pitcher, won for this draft class, very much opened up. It's headlined by two guys, and I'm going to go to Jack James on this because it is a USC guy. You're going to be touching a little more USC than you are UCLA, like Thomas. And also the other guy is Cole Carlin out at ASU, and you are Mr. Sun Devil. Forks up or whatever it is. I don't even know.
What is it like?
It's this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You gotta center it.
It does. Usually people have their hand backwards like that.
We're gonna get flagged for throwing gang signs up.
Well, between
Forks up.
similar words to forks and gang signs, that's gonna play out. So let's talk about Mason Edwards. I think, USC has some talent there. No doubt that there's some guys that are going to go pro with USC. It's not the equivalent to UCLA. That's why we save them for the back end of this podcast and maybe only a few minutes. But Mason Edwards is going to be the highlight reel here.
Yeah. I mean, fastball jumped from peaking at 94 to now sitting at 95, 96 in preseason scrimmages this year. He has an argument to be the top college left-handed pitcher in this draft class, especially with an injury to Jake McCoy out of South Carolina. In 2025, only 5 starts, but 12 appearances. It came out to a 3.86 ERA in 32 and 2/3 innings. You could argue that his walk rate's high at 10.2%. He may have a walk issue, but when you have a 36.2% K rate, it kind of washes it out. He doesn't give up hits. He has a 202 batting average against. So he may walk guys on, but he leaves them there. He's got a 75.9% left on base rate, which is insane. I don't know what the average is for Division I college, but that it is not that. That is insane. So, he could walk 2 guys an inning and be totally fine. He can just strike out the next 3 guys, and he has that pitchability to him. And he's 6'2", 190. I think he probably has another 10, 15 pounds he could put on as he grows and matures into his body. He still has a little bit more of a frame to fill out. So, he could add some more velocity too once he gets to pro ball.
So that's the biggest thing he was that crafty lefty. There's always a group of crafty lefties in the draft class that are near the top, and it's because of their strike throwing ability and their off speed. But Thomas, these reports from Joe Doyle, and I want to give Joe Doyle his credit because Overslot does great. Joe does a great job at Overslot, and Joe's a good friend. We were talking yesterday. Just want to give Joe his credit. He was the one that reported that he was sitting 95, 96 in his preseason scrimmage. The fastball was a question because when you were sitting 89 to 92 kind of thing, right? You're sitting in that, like you're peaking at 94, 95. You're not really sitting low 90s. You're kind of like 89 to 92. If he is sitting, like, let's not, it's a preseason scrimmage. Let's not be over dramatic about it because he's not going to sit 95, 96 in the seventh inning this year. But let's say that this is a 93, 94 with an above average curveball, with an above average changeup, with above average strike throwing. How much does that fastball velocity alter the profile for you, Thomas? I mean, does this turn him into like maybe the top left-handed pitcher on the college side?
I mean, yes, but also I will say my knowledge of who's, you know, coming out of this class limited. But still, I mean, that's stuff that you want to see. And that's somebody that's like probably, you can take in the draft and will probably be somewhere near the MLB roster in a year or two, maybe three. So that's stuff that you like to see though when these dudes are coming out of college.
Yeah, especially the fact that he's lefty and he has some power.
Yeah.
I think Jack, you mentioned there's real projection still remaining, right? And that's where it's like you don't want to bum rush him, but realistically, you need a lefty reliever quick. There you go. You just got to figure out your development plan with a guy like this. Was the close? He was a weekend closer, and I want to see he was like midweek swing start kind of thing. But he is going to be their primary guy. He's going to be their Friday guy. Looking down the line of pitchers here, it's not like there's this like outstanding. Their pitching is okay, and they'll be the first to address it. Is that their pitching is okay? Like Maximo Martinez is probably the next guy. He's next year. He's next year's guy, but like a two-way guy. They just don't have the pitching really. That's going to be a standout thing outside of Mason. Mason obviously has a chance to be the top lefty in the class from the college level at least. You've got Gio Rojas, Coleman Bowles, and everything down there. But no, I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember the lefty out of Florida. Either way, the high school kid. But they do have some interesting bats. Is there anyone you guys want to start with when it comes to this? I know Long Beach transfer is probably their biggest bat. So Thomas, do you want to jump on the Long Beach transfer? Talk about Adrian Lopez at all?
Yeah, let me pull him up real quick.
That's fine. You know what, Jack? While we're doing that, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the guys here? Anyone you want, other than Adrian Lopez?
We can do it with Diego Velasquez really quick. Not a lot of on him just because he's a freshman, so he doesn't have any college data to really go off of. But 6'1", 203 as a freshman, that's pretty good size. Infielder, he lefty bat, one of the top freshmen in the nation this year. He might not be able to play early, just trying to fight his way into the lineup, but I think long term he's going to be their guy. And he turned down notable money in the draft out of high school to play at USC, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does this year. But he's got the size, and he has a chance to be a real impact player. Maybe even this year if he hits.
Yeah, he's going to be a 28. He'll be a prospect of 28. I want to say he turned down $500,000 from the Dodgers. I know that the Dodgers were very interested in him. This is a guy that Crespi Carmelite did down there in LA is where he came from. One of the better newspapers loved him. Sondheim and guys like that absolutely loved him, the Times and things. But yeah, he's going to be potential to be an impact freshman. Got to see what they kind of do with their lineup a little bit. But if he came in and started at shortstop day one, I wouldn't be stunned. But this is a guy that probably is going to be a day one pick in 2028. Thomas, did you get your notebook ready there?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So what do you got? Adrian Lopez, probably the top, probably the next behind Mason and everything, probably the next top draft guy at USC.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, he was at Long Beach. That was his freshman year in 2024, and he had a really underwhelming, not a great start to his college career. /225, 407, 300. So not too great overall. But last year in the sophomore season, he made a really big jump, slashing 329, 400, 550, was third in the Big Ten, and 36th in the nation with 21 doubles, 73 hits, 52 RBIs, three triples, eight home runs. So, pretty good stuff overall. Had, clearly showed an increase in power last year. The home runs, yeah, around eight, but he's also hitting the ball. And where were they? They were in Irvine last year, USC. So, you
Great
know,
park.
Yeah.
yeah, great park. So, they were playing some because they were getting their stadium renovated. So, considering that they're playing, dealing
In
with like
sea
ocean
level.
air, all that stuff,
Yeah.
pretty impressive to see just those kind of numbers increase for him.
He has really high end metrics. He's
Yeah.
definitely a metric hit. And this isn't a guy that's going in the first like day one, maybe
Yeah.
day two. I'm thinking like late day two kind of guy. And the biggest thing with Adrian is he's played everywhere because he can't play anywhere kind of guy. And I mean that with so much respect, but like he's played third, he's played left, he's played first. Like last year, I think he played mostly first base for them, I think is what he played mostly last year. He's a huge guy. He's 6'4", 6'5", insane. He's very he's one of those like I'm trying to think of how to say this without being awful, but like Puerto Rican dudes are just jacked. Simple as that, right? They're just jacked
Yeah, you're
dudes.
you're right. He's 6'4" kid. He's 210 pounds.
He's jacked,
Bet he
dude.
gains more weight.
No, he's a stud. He's totally, and it's
Yeah,
like
I bet he
you just
puts on
watch
more
these guys,
muscle.
right? They're stud athletes. They're ripped, everything. But like
He's
he
pretty
played short.
lanky.
He played shortstop over the winter,
Yeah,
but it's just like if he's playing first base again, his draft stock's just gonna plummet because we
yeah,
already mentioned the first base thing, right? But if he's playing shortstop, I don't care if he's the worst shortstop in the world in the Big Ten. If you're playing shortstop and proving that you can play the left side of the dirt to any extent, it's going to be big. Even if he can play second base, it's going to help him out. So, I mean, power in the bat is going to be the drawing card here, but just a really fun guy to kind of monitor if you're focusing on USC. Few other guys, like these are guys that one of those back end kind of things where it's like they might go pro kind of thing as opposed to actually being a pro prospect. Like Augie Lopez, if he's catching, he's worth paying attention to. Like Jack Basir, if he's playing center field, maybe he's a center sign. If he performs too, like that's a thing. Like Dean Carpentier has been a guy he's been around the block. He just has not performed at USC at all. He was a one of those bigger recruits, high school guy, but just he hasn't hit a lick, and that's a sad thing. Um, Andrew Lamb is the opposite. Andrew Lamb, he was one of the top offensive performers in the Big Ten last year, from what I remember. And if he's catching, because he did catch a little bit last year, that's a guy that I think maybe jumps into the like Adrian Lopez category a little bit. Jack, I saw you nodding your head. I don't know if you have the numbers in front of you, but like Andrew Lamb was one that really impressed me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he had last year he had a 300 average, 564 slug, 935 OPS. His K rate was only 23%, which you can stomach, but obviously that's going to go up a lot once you hit the pro ball. Uh, 9.5 walk rate, hit 5 home runs last year. So like you said, if he's catching,
Yeah.
he's for sure going to be a target. And he's 6 foot 185. He still has room to grow into his body and put on a little bit more weight. And so you would assume the power numbers could go up as well if he continues to physically mature.
Yeah, he's not the best athlete in the world, but the fact that he put up the numbers he did, and if literally it's one of those where if he is a body behind the plate and he's putting up the offensive numbers he's gonna get drafted. You're gonna get drafted on stock alone just because you're gonna look so good on a draft model. So Andrew Lamb's a guy that I'm gonna say, if he is catching, I think you're gonna be paying attention to him a little bit, no matter what he does, because I don't think he's gonna be a catcher long term in pro ball. The last guy that I had was Kevin Takeuchi. This is a guy, and the reason I bring him up, Rancho Bernardo High School. He had some pro interest in high school at a Rancho Bernardo down in San Diego. This is a guy, he's one of the only guys I've ever heard in my life a scout say if you side by side his swing back in high school, he looks like Mike Trout. That's the only time I've heard that twice in my life. twice in my life, and one of the guys was Bobby Witt Jr., so I can live with that. But Takeuchi has not performed. The approach is not Mike Trout. The skill level is not Mike Trout. But if you side by side the swing, it's that compact. It's almost perfectly compact. It's upright setup. Draw the body in from the ground up. It's a really, really nice baseline to work with a swing. Another guy similar to who are we talking about earlier? Justin Lee on the mound, right? This is a guy I think that's going to be a little different because I think once he gets into pro ball, I think someone's got an idea for him. So this is a guy I think is going to go around. He's going to be a day 3 guy for me, probably. He was catching at Rancho Bernardo. He's been a, I don't want to call him a defensive liability, but trying to find a defensive home for him hasn't been great between third base and left field. I think he's going to stick in left field probably this year for them. But just a guy I have circled as a name that's like, when you hear something like that, you got to stick with it and pay attention. Just performance has not been there. And I'm not saying that this guy's going to be Mike Trout by any sense, but if you're swinging a bat and you look like Mike Trout at the plate, you're going to get some attention. So, anything else, USC guys? Anything USC, UCLA, anything like that? I know this was we're trying to kind of stay short on this episode a little bit and chat a little bit about it. But what are you guys' thoughts here?
I think we hit it all.
Sweet,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah. All right. So, schedule for this weekend, just to give everyone the listeners an idea here. Thomas Murray, you will be at UCLA versus UCSD. Some high-end prospects, obviously, for UCLA we just touched on, but San Diego also has some prospects as well. Steele Murdoch, shortstop, it's an Italian name, Petrosino, Petrosti, starts with a P and it's Italian, and his first name is Anthony. I can tell you that. He's a fun one. Listen to the Big West episode. We talk about him. Jack, you're off this weekend. You don't have anything going on coverage-wise for us on that front. Because we're going to have Jack Hazlitt at Fullerton, Cal Baptist on Friday night. I will be UC Riverside on Friday, and I will be UC Riverside and Cal Baptist against Utah Tech and Fullerton on Saturday. And Jack Hazlitt, Anthony Arroyo will be at USC versus Pepperdine. I would have said that we were going to talk about the West Coast Conference, but the West Coast Conference doesn't really have a whole lot of pro draft prospects this year. So Pepperdine, sorry, love you. Good school. Malibu's great. He ain't got nothing for us this year. So leave it on that note. Like I said, just little draft preview shows. We don't really have a name for it. It's kind of just a Wings on Katella special edition. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, comment if you feel so freely to do so. Yeah, you can find Jack Janes on social media and Twitter and all that stuff at @JackJanes_. Thomas Murray at Thomas_L_Murray. Anything else to plug, dudes? Anything you got?
Not assigned to work, but I might be at Long Beach State on Sunday, depending on the rain. And if I see anything, I'll probably just tweet it, because why not? So keep on lookout for that.
We touched who are they? Who's Long Beach have this weekend?
San Jose State.
Okay. We touched on that in our Big West preview, and it did. We'll mingle. We'll mingle on that one.
There.
Jack Janes, anything you got, buddy? Anything?
Just waiting anxiously for Angel season to start so I can get back out there.
Attaboy. You call me, man. I got schools you can go to.
Yeah.
I'll send you anywhere you want to go. Servite. Cerritos. I called you about Cyprus. We could send you a Golden West.
Send them to Valencia.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, he knows what's at Valencia. He was swinging against it the other day.
No, I was not.
That's right.
I got a 3-0 slider ankle high. I was not
bat
swinging.
Flipped on a 4-pitch walk. You coward. Swing the
I did not backflip.
Swing the bat, you coward.
I paused. When I got the 3-0, I paused and I was like, am I swinging no matter what?
Oh, green light.
Just to get a, not like try to hit it, but like if it's a ball, just do like that check swing just to get a strike.
No
just
way,
to get
dude.
Another pitch.
If if it is in your zone, green light.
Oh yeah.
Oh come on.
It wasn't even close.
And
that's what I'm saying.
Slider at my ankle. That is not my zone.
I am really hoping somewhere in spring training, somewhere across all of spring training, right? Everyone's like, oh, first pitch of spring, all these things. I am dying for someone to throw an 0-0 curve. just straight. Screw the fastball to establish the game in spring training. If you're throwing spring training, throw a first pitch changeup, first pitch curveball. Screw you if you don't. Fastballs, you're weak. You're a coward if you throw a first pitch fastball.
I threw a first pitch splitter in an exhibition in high school one time.
What a stud.
The batter was so rattled after that.
Good. Exactly. Do it. I don't care if it's spring training and exhibition. Just do it. It's awesome. Swing 3-0, throw first pitch off speed. You
only live
dirty
once.
cowards. You dirty cowards. That's it. That's all we got. Have a great day, guys. You can find our work at thesportingtribune.com. I'm Taylorblakeward, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get out of here. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. We'll see you next time.